The meeting was called to order at 7:37. First thing on the agenda is approval of minutes. I'm sorry that I forgot to put those minutes out when I sent the packet out. I sent it out this afternoon. Does anyone have any additions or corrections to the minutes from last week, last month?
No, but I'll motion to accept the minutes.
Okay. Is there a second?
Yeah,
I'll second it.
Okay.
no, I have to do this right now.
Is there any discussion on the minutes from last month?
No.
Okay. So in a video, in a remote setting, each vote has to be taken by roll call. So I'll have to go through. All in favor of accepting minutes as is, please say aye, and I'll just go through the standing members. Mary?
Aye.
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 But he's got to serve, you got to survey
Yeah.
each one and ask them.
Oh, yes. So wait till you hear your name, please. Mary?
Mary's
Yes,
an
but I'm an
alternate.
alternate,
She can't vote.
so I can't vote.
You can't, did you get sworn in?
Yes, but I'm an
No.
alternate, so I can't vote.
I don't think you're an alternate.
I'm an alternate. Steve.
There's
Just
three.
a comment. I know some other people are trying to dial in, and they had dialed in before and can't dial in on the phone now.
That alternates don't vote.
Yeah, I know that. Martha?
I'm here. She's an
wasn't
alternate.
Wasn't Mary Daly appointed as a full member?
No, Dennis is the full member and Mary and John are alternates.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry.
Yep.
But
No problem.
Steve, if I could make a suggestion that if there's going to be two missing members, you promote alternates to voting status. And
Yeah,
the
I'm
question
not,
is, I don't know if Brad and Corey are going to make it.
I don't either. They were, I don't know. I don't know, but I'm gonna give Brad and Randy a little more time since they were already on the other.
Yes.
So Steve, since you switched over, you had 3 dial-ins, and I think you've lost them. I know you've lost at least one who can no longer dial into this call from a phone.
Okay, Mary, I can't do anything about that though.
I'm just letting you know.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I'm sorry, Dennis. I mistakenly thought that you were the alternate. So Dennis, motion to accept the minutes as is.
Yes.
Thank you. Dimitri,
Yes.
Andrea,
Yes.
Rob?
I'll abstain.
Yeah.
I was not on the meeting last month.
I know. Rich
Aye.
and, well, any nays? No. So I guess does the motion pass, Rich? I mean,
Yes. Yeah, the motion passes because it has a majority. And it's the
Majority here, yeah,
Usually
okay.
always.
all right. Second, item on the agenda is budget update and expenses, and I'm gonna give that to Andre.
Okay. So I have 3 things that I'm going to include in the report tonight. The first one will be the expenses and the status of the current budget. Then I'm going to talk about the 2024-25 budget, proposed budget updates. And then the third thing I'm going to talk about is the Clean Water Fund and the preparation of submitting expenses and where we're at with that. Okay, so for the January expenditure report for this month, the only expenses that we had were, we had a couple. We had the clerk expenses for $186 with a remaining balance in that budget line item of $1,368. Legal counsel, line 07, we had an expense of $1,794.50. So the total of our January expenses was $1,980.50. We still have about $4,000 encumbered for legal, and the printing and postage is actually, we've been trying to find those. We have not received the invoices, so we're looking for them, but going off the proposal quote, encumbered for that is $2,400 split between postage and printing. So the current balance for this and right now into January is $52,270.07. So we're doing good. The budget update for our proposed budget that you all voted on and approved to move along last month. We did, Steve, Rich, and I attended Martha's meeting, select persons meeting on January 29th, and we reviewed the budget line by line. And it was decided or recommended at that meeting to create the two new line items that we have been speaking about. And one is an administrative assistant. So we'll have a clerk and the administrative assistant as we discussed. And that way we'll be able to look at the different activities since they are different skill sets to accomplish those activities. And then we have a new line item called project related shared infrastructure expenses. Those were the one-time expenses that will be required for that shared infrastructure, the 10,000 and then the 35,000. So the next step for this budget is I resubmitted it and will attend the Board of Finance meeting for the final approval. We don't have the date yet, but
I do have a date. It's March 5th.
March 5th.
March 5th,
All right. So we should
PM.
7. Okay. All right. Then the third thing that I promised that I would share with you tonight is the Clean Water Fund.
I had a question on that. Just a new person.
Ron, is your question on 1 or 2, or is your question on 3?
On 2.
Okay, go ahead.
That person, that was a full-time equivalent?
No. So oh, that's right. You weren't at the meeting. So the clerk, right now, this would be Erica. She attends the meeting and she writes the minutes. And we budgeted for that role and activity for 12 months. It's a non-benefit eligible part-time activity, part-time person. I could tell you how many hours exactly. It comes out to 12 hours plus the meeting time is a flat rate. And then the AA position is to support the pump out notices and the Carmody database, interacting with the public, interacting with the haulers. And we budgeted that for about 5 hours a week, 26 pay periods. So it comes out to about 10 hours a pay period.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right. Any other questions on those 2 items? Okay. And now I'm going to talk about the clean water funds. So 4 invoices are being submitted for this month. And they are Woodard and Curran invoices for professional services related to design. And the 4 invoices, the invoice was submitted September 25th, 2020. And that invoice is for $289,000. $46,130. The second invoice was submitted on October 26th, 2020. 2020, you're hearing me, right? And that invoice, again, design, $117 and $117,810. 117,810. The third invoice, February 26th, 2021, was for $71,285. And the fourth invoice, August 23rd, 2021, again, all four are design related expenses, $46,370. And the total of these expenses that have been outstanding since, this brings us current through work through September 2021. And that's $524,595. So there's a dense packet, very prescriptive, that we're currently finishing up, tying the bows and vetting it out and getting it ready for Martha's signature. And we'll do a final review, but we're hoping to have that for this week, Martha. And so that will go to the clean water funds. Does anyone
Are
any
we looking
questions?
for a motion to approve these to send them to Clean Water for payment?
Well,
I don't
I'd like
think-
to just, yeah, we can make a motion, please.
Okay. All right. Any discussion about these? I
Well,
have,
let's make a motion
Tails?
first.
Okay, I'll let me try to make a motion here. I make a motion that we send the invoices Andrea outlined that were also in our info packet to Clean Water Funds for processing for eventual payments to Woodward and Curran as part of our 60% of our design review project.
I just have a question.
Can we have a second,
hold
please?
on, there's a motion on the table. Hold on. Go ahead. Someone want,
Yeah.
can I second it?
Yeah,
Anyone
I'll-
but me.
I'll second it.
great. Thank you, Andrea. Please.
Okay.
Mary, what's your question, please?
So the $524,000 to Woodward and Curran, that doesn't include what the town owes to Fuss and O'Neill for the infrastructure design? Or
That's correct.
do we know what the town is expected to pay toward the Fuss and O'Neill design?
Well,
There
we're
is one little
expecting,
section of Fuss and O'Neill that's in there, which
I
is
can't
one
hear
of the
Rich. You have
invoices.
to speak up.
There is one little
I think-
section about Fuss and O'Neill in the invoice, and it's labeled in there about when they reviewed the design review from Fuss and O'Neill.
right.
That was on August
Right.
23rd,
Hold on.
2021.
Mary, we'll take that, we'll answer that. We can answer that question, but that's not the topic of discussion right now. The topic is to pay Woodward and Curran. It does not include any funds directly towards, it doesn't include any funds directly towards the shared infrastructure that we owe Old Colony, if that's what your question was.
Yeah, I was just wondering what the design included for $524,000. What was
The
included
design
in that?
includes well, you have the invoices, but the design includes a review of Fuss and O'Neill so that we know how to tie in and we have our elevations correct. But most of it is the design for our gravity sewer. The gravity sewer that Soundview and miscellaneous area B are going to be installing.
So Mary, I can read you the exact bullet that they submitted for Fuss and O'Neill. It says review of plans and specifications for shared infrastructure project, including meeting with Fuss and O'Neill and the beach associations related to project timing. And that was on the invoice submitted August 23rd, 2021. And that invoice amount included 4 activities, and the one that I read was one of 4. And the total of that invoice was $46,370.
So I'd like to just explain some of this. So I went through the invoices. They total 524,000, 595,000, which is 85.27% of the contracted value. Of what we have as a contract design of $615,200. We have 60% drawings, and I called up Jason to find out why there's a discrepancy of 25%. He sent me a set of drawings that are far more advanced than the 60%, and they are closer to 90%. However, they stopped working because they thought we were going to get paid much earlier. And so I've looked at the drawings that Jason sent me, and I believe that they are certainly closer to 90% than 60%. As a matter of fact, the drawings that he sent me had already been updated to address some of the comments I had on the 60% drawings. And so because these invoices are 3 to 4 years old, because they've done all this work without getting paid, and because I think we're going to get a quicker turnaround, I would recommend paying all of the invoices to what CWF approves, and going from there. Is there any more discussion? Dennis?
No, I say pay the invoices. They've been gathering moss and been sitting there.
Again, I'm a ex-CFO. If you're satisfied with a percentage of completion, then we need to pay them.
Yeah, I am satisfied with the percentage of completion with what he sent me on Thursday.
You're a CFO? Oh, jeez.
Well, no, I'm so
Yeah, I'll be calling you.
I'm retired, so that's why I'm still involved a lot, but yes, I'm a CFO.
Okay.
I'm a nurse.
So is there any
Jeez.
more discussion? All right, I'd like to call for a vote to approve the motion to forward these. I'm going to paraphrase, to forward all 4 invoices, Woodward and Curran invoices, to CFW for processing of payment, and then pay Woodward and Curran out of the CWF funds that would be available. I got to take Dennis. How do you vote?
Yes.
Well, wait a minute. You have a motion. We have to first and second it.
We did
No,
this
I thought we
already.
did.
Oh, you just did? Okay.
I just paraphrased what was the motion.
Okay. So
Yeah,
Dimitri,
Yes.
Andrea,
yes, we're past due.
Rob,
Yes.
Rich,
yes,
Brad,
Yes.
Randy.
I don't know what I'm voting on.
It's to approve the Woodward and Curran invoices that were in your packet.
Yeah, so I have a question on that. Were those invoices based on milestone amounts in a proposal, or were?
Yes. So we have a contract amount of $615,200, and you probably weren't on. I I did a little mathematical calculation and we have 60% drawings and they're billing 85%. But Jason sent me, they continued working on it, expecting to get paid last year. Jason sent me another package of drawings that are really closer to 90% than they are to 60. There's a lot more detail in them. Even some of the things that in my review of the 60%, they were already incorporated before you even got my comments. So based on that, because they've done all this work without getting paid, we're voting to authorize payment to whatever CWF funds.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that, but in the future, I think it would be prudent for us to have a breakdown of billable effort hours so that we understand.
Did you get
what-
the invoices?
What we're paying. Yeah, there's no hours in the invoices.
No, there's not.
No, there isn't. But they are prepared. They are prepared for CWF review.
They are if it compares to what they proposed, which I don't have. So
Okay.
I'm fine approving that, but I would just ask in the future that the WPCA ask for backup on effort hours for paying invoices.
Okay.
Steve, if I might make a suggestion, I think the 5,700 form has to be filled out, which will have hours associated with every task.
Yeah.
And so we include the invoice with the 5,700 forms. That might solve Randy's, give Randy the detail he's looking for.
And they should do percentage of completion plus the hours.
They have percentage of completion on the
Right.
invoices now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Randy's saying it's compared to the hours that they provided. So
Yeah. I'm okay. I vote yay.
All right. So the motion passes unanimously. At this point, I think we're still missing someone, no?
Did you ask Corey? I don't know if Corey's on.
Corey's not on. You're missing Corey's absent.
There's a call-in user 1. I don't know who that person is. That's not Corey.
I don't believe so. Corey, could the caller identify? I
Steve, can you tell if he's muted or not?
he's not, well, it shows not muted. I'm not, it's not muted on my side. I can't tell if he's, doesn't look like he's muted. His side.
Call-in user 1 is not muted.
Hey, you and Erica have more detail than the rest of us because you're hosts.
Right. So no, it doesn't look like they're muted, but it doesn't look like anyone's there really. Because I have an answer.
Okay.
So at this point, I'll move Mary Daly up as a member, voting member today. All right. Next on the agenda is the chairman's report, and I'd like to welcome Mary, Dennis, and John. When I sent some stuff out, the packet, there's a code of conduct, a code of ethics, actually. It's code of ethics that I encourage everyone to read. Their state statute requirements on what you can, how you have to not behave, but things you can and can't do as a member of the WPCA. You can't take gifts over a certain amount. You can't obviously take bribes. There's a whole bunch of stuff. But I ask you all to review that, make yourselves familiar with it because it's important that you follow those statutes. We also have on the WPCA a code of conduct and how we run our meetings. And so we follow Robert's Rules of Order. It's published manual on how motions are presented, voted on, precedents, how meetings are run. Also in our code of conduct, which is different, well, code of conduct, which is different. This is how we as a group have determined to conduct ourselves in the meeting and in public. Some of the things that you should be aware of is that only the chairman, vice chair, and treasurer can speak for the WPCA. Other members should direct inquiries to one of the officers, preferably the chairman. Members should not speak on behalf of the WPCA, and if they feel compelled to publicly speak out, they should not reference the WPCA in any way. So you can't speak out against something the WPCA is doing and then put down that you're a member of the WPCA. You still have the right to speak out against the WPCA, though I don't know why you would do that. You have a forum here. But if you do, you just can't associate yourself with the WPCA. Debate and participation is encouraged, but you should be recognized by the chair before speaking. So, just raise your hand if you are remote, or raise your hand actually if you're in person also. When there is open debate, please let one member finish speaking before you begin to speak. And anything discussed in executive session should be held in strict confidence, as executive session is used to shield the public from what is being discussed, since it could place the WPCA at a disadvantage with other parties. So normally we go into executive session when it deals with contractual and money obligations and basic strategy in developing contracts. Other than that, I don't know. I guess if it was some personnel problem, which we don't have, you would go into executive session also. Some of the goals that I would like this year is that I want to re-sign the New London IMA. We've worked and developed with the other beach associations a response to New London, and we'll be hopefully meeting with them in early March. I want to communicate more with East Lyme to review the shared infrastructure design. I was speaking with Ben, who is the East Lyme engineer, and he said he's never seen the plans, which I find interesting. So we're tying into their system, and they've never even seen how we're going to do that. So I think that a little more communication with certainly East Lyme is in order. So I'm going to be reaching out. I had that discussion with Ben because I've also been in discussions with Pointer Woods and East Lyme to use the trench that Pointer Woods used for their force main. This would accomplish a couple of things. It may allow us to directionally bore our pipe underground instead of digging up the road. And secondly, even if we had to dig up the road, we would know that we wouldn't hit any ledge and that we would be able to reuse all the material except for the asphalt that came out of the trench, because it's already been up to state spec. I want a complete design. And once we do have a complete design, I want to bid. I spoke with Jason at Woodward and Curran. He said once they get paid for the 60%, It'll take approximately 30 to 60 days to get 90% drawings, and then another 60 days after for 100% review that would need to be approved by DEP. We'll also need DOT permitting, which I am working on currently. So if the process takes, including permitting, DOT permitting, 8 months, that would bring us to mid-September 2024 for bid. I want to close on the CWF construction loan, so that we would, when we do go out to bid, we have funds to pay people. I also would like to, I want to also hopefully push the beach associations alive to get out the shared infrastructure bid as well. I want to continue to work with the beach associations to develop an operation and maintenance agreement for after the project is complete. We just had a meeting on that earlier tonight about removing some of the points from the CSA, the common shared cost sharing agreement, because it gets too bulky in it. One is a cost sharing agreement to fund the shared infrastructure for the project. It determines how much people are going to pay. After that's completed, the system will still have to be maintained, and that's more of a operating and maintenance agreement on how we're going to divide up funds. We vote to make improvements and things like that. The two are somewhat related, but not really. And so it would the new agreement would either be an addendum to the cost sharing agreement or a standalone document. And we'll be discussing that more with the beach associations throughout the year. And then I'm also, so O-line, meaning the chairman usually, but it's open to the vice chair also. And the beach associations chairman and interested parties there meet probably once a month. Our next meeting will be March 5th. And we meet to coordinate certainly the shared infrastructure portion of our project, but a lot of it pertains to what I just mentioned, cost sharing agreement and owner maintenance. So we meet to discuss how money's going to be broken out, how, when the project's done, how it's going to be maintained, and we're trying to develop an agreement for both those that will ensure that the project is successful and there are no snags, as well as that after the project is done, everyone's clear on their responsibilities to the infrastructure. So that being said, it's in the past, it's been it's not run like they don't have Robert's Rules of Orders. We don't necessarily even have a chairman or a president or anyone. It's more of a free-for-all. But I have been requested to perhaps keep minutes of this meeting, which I don't think is a bad idea. I just want to discuss that with the other beach associations, as well as find out if we are required to. If we're required to, then obviously we'll do everything that's required. If it's not required, I would certainly still like to post minutes, because I don't think anything would harm us, except for items that may or may not be advantageous to, let's say, London, if we're discussing strategy on how to negotiate another contract. So I will have more on that, but I haven't been chairman long enough to really delve into uh, all of that, but I'll have more information to you on that later. And that is my chairman's report for today. Are there any questions, comments?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, Demetra.
First of all, when it was Point of Woods building the sewer, they were a little bit upset with with the town opinion because they went on their own, and I was involved in construction, hooking up the few houses on Point of Woods to the sewer, and I know maybe 75% I have a knowledge about. They brought 6-inch line only from Point of Woods to the east line. That line only services the Point of Woods. So couple things comes to my mind that Point of Woods either will allow to remove their 6-inch pipe and put larger size pipe from their point to the east line hookup, and maybe they will ask for reimbursement because that line was installed in the ledges, cost them money. This is we have to find out. Another thing that we have to make sure that we are not going to need to replace pipe again later on when Hockness Beach and maybe also some other beach would be hooked up later on, say in 20 years. It's been about, 17 years since Point Wood line was installed. So the time goes fast. And we have to consider in the future, because Hockness Beach was considered to be hooked up to the sewer. It's under question still. And we
So
have to,
Dimitri,
yes,
the pump station as well as the force main leaving the pump station has been designed with the that would be able to handle the flow from Hawks Nest. Already been designed for that. The other thing is, I've already talked with Will, who's the chairman of the Point of Woods WPCA, and they don't have a problem with us using their trench as long as it doesn't affect them legally, which we are looking into.
but this is what I'm trying to tell you, that we should consider how it will be provided and what size of pipe we are going to put there, because replacing their pipe is possible because the trench can fit larger.
We're not talking about replacing their pipe. We're talking
Whatever.
about replacing their trench, leaving their pipe where it is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Anyone else?
Yeah, I
Dennis,
have a question.
Again,
Okay, go ahead,
given my
Dennis.
background, I will look at contracts and just complete what's understood in the completion contract versus, again, I'm not a lawyer, but I can look at the financial things, but then we should have it locked down from a legal standpoint, what we're agreeing to.
Okay, John, I don't know what you're referring to exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
you're talking
Any-
about
any
going forward,
contract
looking
that
at
you
bills,
sign.
looking at bills and things going forward. It's, again, I can look at what people have agreed to Again, I can look at things in contract.
So John, what would happen on the CSA agreement is that we would complete it, quote, complete it, at least here, and I believe in the other 3 beach associations, they go out and present it to their WPCAs.
Right.
On whether to accept it or not. And then it most likely gets an attorney review by the WPC, each individual's WPCA's attorney. They mark it up, it comes back, we agree to it again, comes back for a vote. Eventually, it gets signed. There's probably at least 1, if not 2, attorney reviews in that, in any contracts that would enter into. Mary?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I wanted to thank you, first of all, for bringing up the topic of the alliance meetings, because I think it's important. I think a lot of decisions are made there or explored there, and they're very pertinent to all of the communities here, particularly the town in Soundview. And when we don't communicate to the people who are being impacted, then you lose their trust. So these things get out there in the environment. We hear about them, we know about them. If they're not communicated, you've lost our trust. So that's the first thing. In regard to your comments on the code of conduct, I believe in this country, we all have the right of freedom of speech. And that's not, just because you're on a committee, you still have the right to freedom of speech, even if you don't agree with that committee's perspective. And you're free to say what you want to say about that and give your comments publicly, as long as you clarify that you are a member of that committee and the views are your own and not those of that committee. So that's what I have seen publicly in the past, and I'm sure I'll see it again. I'm just clarifying those 2 points.
Well, our code that I had said that you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to associate your opinions, your personal opinions, as those of the WPCA.
I think you guys are both saying the same thing. You're not supposed to say, "Hi, I'm the WPCA and I say this," unless you're the chairman or vice chairman. But you can say, "I have an opinion," and you can say, "I'm on the committee," I guess, but you have to clarify that you're not speaking for the committee.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Dennis,
Yeah.
regarding the alliance and the discussions that are being made there, I believe it's imperative, because you're talking about money. Imperative that the 3 private beaches in the town of Oline create a minutes procedure. It can look like it's backdoor negotiations, and
Well-
that's what you don't want. And I'm not saying that the minutes have to be disseminated to the general public. They could be minutes just of the WPCA, but I would like to know what Old Colony and Old Lime Shores and Miami Beach is thinking about the cost sharing agreement. Because we're the 29% of the project, we have the biggest exposure.
Right. So like I said, we're going to try to get more structure. At least I'm going to push for more structure in that setting, so that we can keep minutes and maybe even publish them on our website. I mean, the stuff that's discussed isn't backdoor dealing or anything like that. It's minutia that would probably drive anyone nuts. The limited amount, I think I've attended 3 meetings, and it's there's nothing, there's no bells and whistles. It's all about how to write something that everyone is aware of, and that there are no surprises at the end. But well taken, point well taken.
Thank you.
It should also be pointed out that no decision, a binding decision is made. I mean, everything we've done in the past, we have discussions there, and then the contract comes to here. There's an executive session for the WPCA members to decide when it is sensitive, like how much, what's our strategy, or how much we can spend on some kind of vendor. Which, if we made that public, let me tell you, when we say a budget's this much money, we go to a vendor, they ask for that much money.
Right. Right. If you say we're not going to spend more than $5,000 and they know that, then they're going to bid $4,999. You know, you want them to come up with their best price, not the highest price possible. So that's why it's executive session. Anything else on chairman's report? Okay. So, also, under chairman's report, there are two committees that I'd like to form. One committee is to review the project-related invoices. The purpose of this committee would be to review and propose to the board whether to accept or partially accept or deny invoices that are related to the project, such as the Woodwind and Curran invoices. This would be a subcommittee whom I hopefully would have the treasurer, who right now is Andrea, and several other people, maybe Rich, maybe myself, or Dennis, or Mary Daly, or anyone on the committee, really, anyone on this board that would want to meet probably at the end of the month, at the beginning of, I have to find out when we as a group have to get the invoices into CWF for their funding.
We should get the second week.
The second week?
Yeah,
Is
they're
that-
due like, we should have them ready for the 10th of every month.
The 10th of every month. Okay. So we'll work backwards from there. They have to go to Martha for signing, right?
Right.
Yeah. So we'll work back from there, but it's probably maybe the third week.
I don't think Martha needs to sign these.
She does.
I don't think so.
She has to sign a
She has to
cover
sign
letter.
the CWF funds.
So are we making a recommendation? Our motion earlier was to submit those, so that means that also includes having her sign them?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay,
that's the process.
Yeah,
sorry, my mistake.
That's
that's
okay.
okay. Glad you asked.
So the group would meet probably between the 25th and 30th of the month. You know, let me recognize Martha. Martha.
Andrea, I would just love it if when you come in with all that, we could sit down, spend some time sitting down with Anita so that we just review everything so that there are multiple eyes on this paperwork.
Yes, you're both copied on the draft that I sent.
Yes,
Okay.
that'd be great. Thanks.
Oh, yeah,
you,
of
Martha.
course. This is a big deal. This is a lot of money.
Again,
So
I'll volunteer. I've done $200 million contracts, but I want to see the contract, or I'm not going to be. I'd love to do it. So I've done this all my life, but I need lots
the
of detail.
contract, John, we don't really have the contract yet because
Well, we do have the contract for the design services we're doing,
Well,
correct.
Yeah,
if that's referred to.
but
well,
not the
great.
project.
Yeah, I've dealt with lawyers and architects and engineers, so as long
I
as
think
they're
you'd
doing
be
what they're
great.
supposed to be doing.
Yeah, you would be
All right.
great.
So I'm going to ask we're not going to form the committees this month, but I would like to form them next month. I'm just explaining what they are. And then if you express interest, email me and I will put you on the committees. The committee would be limited to at most 4 members because you can't have a quorum on any committee. The second committee, which I think is really here to give voice to 2 members that have been following this process for a number of years and have felt that I believe they haven't been heard. I would really like at least Dennis and Mary, and possibly Dimitri, since he has a lot of history involved in this process, to look at alternate methods besides sewer installation. I know that it seems to me like there are ideas out there that people feel we haven't looked at or haven't investigated enough. And I'm wondering if you want to put the effort in so you can give a report on a monthly basis on some of the things that you found out on viable alternates to sewer installation. And so I would like Dennis and Mary and Dimitri to think about if they'd want to be on a committee like that.
So I would gladly pick up that gauntlet and run with it.
Okay.
We have looked at it for several years now. We have lots of options out there that are now recognized by the state of Connecticut by DEEP. So sure.
Well, great. Well, that's good. How about you? Well, if anyone else is interested, please just
I'll belong also.
great. So just a couple of notes. In those committees, you have to keep minutes.
Sure.
You have to post.
Not a
you have to
problem.
post. All right, you have to post your meeting, that you're meeting, and then keep minutes, and then post them. Also, I guess you have to keep them. I don't know if you have to post them. Probably do have to post them. I'll check with Katie on that. That is about it. Just one other thing. I've reached out to Connecticut DOT. We have a brook crossing with the shared force main that they're replacing. The bridge that itself is being replaced. And so Ben from East Line told me that, and he said I may want to contact them because that may change our design. So I reached out to them and I've heard back. Next on the list is old business, Soundview Sewer and Miscellaneous Area B project. I don't have anything else to say about it, except we've got funding to pay the design, and that design should pick up again.
I have one question on that, if I could, please.
Sure.
When we say we have the design at 60 or 80%, so we were told at one point that Old Lyme Shores does not want the bioxide station on their property. Does that 60 to 80% of the design include relocation of the bioxide station? And is there a site to move the bioxide station to?
Well, thank you for asking, because that's one thing I didn't mention. I asked you, so I've installed bioxide systems. They've always gone into the wet well. I was told that the reason the bioxide was placed where it was because if we put it near the wet well, it would be a flood zone. And so I asked Carlos Esquera, who works for the DEP, whether it would be possible to put the bioxide at the same level as the pump station, which is about 16 feet above the ground there. And he said he didn't seem like it would be a problem, maybe a good idea because the dioxide also controls odors in the wet well. I mean, it's there to control hydrogen sulfide, but hydrogen sulfide is the odor you smell when you go by one. So it would control the smell, and it would eliminate, a line coming down the road. It would eliminate, having to put it in a different spot than the pump station. He said that the only problem that he foresaw was that if it was considered a hazardous chemical, which everything I've looked into, it isn't a hazardous chemical. And that was another thing discussed with the other associations since it's part of the shared infrastructure. I asked if we could get approval to move the bioxide, or at least investigate moving the bioxide to the pump station area, to which they all agreed. So we're working on that also. But thank you.
So in conclusion, the pump station, the bioxide station, and the force main will all be located within Soundview and not
Well-
in any of the private beach association areas?
The force main goes down from the pump station to East Line, goes down 156. That
The
doesn't-
return going up Portland Avenue, the pump station on Portland Avenue, the bioxide station on Portland Avenue, all within Soundview?
Yes, if that's where it's, I don't know, I'm not very, I know where it
It's-
is.
You're suggesting it would be in the wet well, Steve, so the chemicals
No,
will
the
be on the
chemical-
second
no.
floor.
The chemical would be put into the wet, it would be pumped into the wet well in lieu of
I think
force main.
that's what Mary's asking. Would it be a separate building or would it be part
No,
of the
no,
same building?
we just make.
No, I'm
do
not,
another-
I'm saying that the three main components.
No, it's not,
that every-
Mary, not the three main components. The force main, 95% of the force main will be on Route 156.
And the return,
There's no return.
No return.
Can I make a suggestion? Maybe Woodward and Curran could present the final design plans to us.
Woodward and Curran didn't design this part of the project. Fuss and O'Neill.
But they'll be able to speak to it, and then
They-
we'll all be on the same page.
I guess, I'm just on a
Yes,
side,
John.
Steve, you're opining, you shouldn't be opining on an engineering. You said something about you think it would be. The engineer should say, this is it.
Trying to understand what Mary said though. So
Yeah.
there's one understanding. Right now, there's a bioxide station planned to be in Old Shores,
Right.
and that's designed and we have access to the design. We could look at it from an engineering point of view. Steve I think maybe you're thinking about an alternative of having it in the existing pump station, which might save us some money. But originally we were told it was a chemical problem or a permit problem. So
But I don't think
Yeah.
Steve should opine on that. We should have an engineer opine on it.
Yeah, so John,
Yes.
it's my opinion that I'm looking into alternatives. I'm not writing up alternatives. I'm investigating alternatives with engineers and the EPA.
Yes. But
I mean,
Should-
I don't know if
should we be presenting that to you?
well, they didn't present it to us. That's my,
All right.
I question, John, just so you know, I have 40 years of experience putting in pump stations in sewer.
Yes.
Okay,
I just,
so-
I'm
So
a
I'm
new
not
person.
saying, I'm not saying I'm an engineer. I'm saying there could be a better way of designing the thing.
Yes, I'm agreeing with you. I'm just trying to bring up that I'm a new person and they should be presenting things to you that you can recommend as opposed to.
Right. That's right. But they didn't. That's my problem.
Right. Okay. Same page.
Randy, did you have a question?
Yep. I just wanted to clarify for those who don't understand, maybe in in the meeting, and if I'm being redundant, say so, but there's a number of ways to prevent the formation of hydrogen sulfide, which promotes both corrosion and odor problems in sewer collection systems. Many of those include things like the use of ferric chloride and ferrous sulfate and so on that are hazardous chemicals to handle. And the design that we're currently pursuing, and I think we're 60 to 80% thereabouts, whatever. We're talking about a bioxide that is not a hazardous material for handling, and so there's no safety issues with handling it like there is with many other technologies, and it basically kills sulfate reducing bacteria that produces hydrogen sulfide. That is what we ultimately is liberated above the headspace in the pump station and in the force main, that could cause both corrosion and odor issues. So I think it's worthwhile to explore options in terms of where that gets injected into or placed into the flow stream. And I think that's a reasonable thing for Steve to explore for that reason, because there may be some significant cost savings down the road instead of having, in lieu of having a separate facility for doing so. So that's my comment.
Thank you, Randy. So, Mary, to get back to your question, but I don't know if that is a question. Yes, the bioxide in the pump station would be located on the same property that the the current proposed pump station is being proposed. I think it's down Portland Avenue.
Yes, it's down Portland Avenue.
Okay, so both of those would be located, and a portion of the force main would be located on that property, because you got to pump it from the wet well in, all the way to 150, all the way to East Line. And so, the force main goes from our pump station down Portland Avenue, I think,
Yes, down Portland Avenue.
to 156, and from 156 all the way to East Line, to the top of the hill by Divine Package Store.
I think I'm just pointing out that all the main shared components would then reside within Soundview. There would be no other locations in the private beach associations. It would all be located in one stretch, in one area within Soundview.
Okay, but I mean, it may seem, I don't know.
I don't know if it's in Soundview. I think it's the Scott Belanger property in Miami Beach,
Right.
technically. but-
Soundview. It's
right.
Soundview.
Is his
So,
property
guys,
in Soundview, Dennis?
Yeah, it
Right,
is.
so regardless of where it is, that's where it's most economically feasible to place it. You can't, I mean, it's not like someone picked this spot out of a hat. It's the fact of you want to split your height differential between the four beach associations, so everything can flow via gravity to the pump station. You could put the pump station on 156, but then you'd have to pump everyone's or most of everyone's sewage to it. So it's there, number one, because the land was available, but also because it minimizes costs for everyone as far as depth. I mean, you could put it somewhere else and dig 25 feet deep instead of 8 feet. I mean, the average depth of our sewer gravity is going to be about 8 feet. I mean, we're very shallow. It's a huge cost savings from 8 feet to 15 feet. That's why that's there. It's not something that in no engineering world would you try to split up the components of this so that everyone has shared property distribution. So yes, they would both be on there, but it's a, in my opinion, it's a better, more economical design that would help control odors when the wet well isn't being pumped on a regular basis due to low flow. Yes, Dennis.
Now, do you envision that building being any larger than it is? Because you have a neighbor that's right next door to it, and you have 3 McMansions on the beach, less than 50 yards.
We'd have to see what the engineers could come up with.
And as do they supply a canoe for king tides? Because that's 4 feet deep, the water. I hate to be the guy who has to deliver the product there. You know, he's going to be climbing stairs to get to bring it in because it's too wet there. It was the worst place you could have picked.
Correct.
You know, so
Well, I don't know about the worst place we could have picked, but yeah, it would be elevated. So yes, he would have to climb stairs.
okay.
I don't know if the climbing the stairs is the deal breaker, but I've seen other things where they have a pump station they pump up to some other locations. I worked in the specialty chemical business for years, and we'd have a truck delivery in one place and we'd pump it to somewhere else.
Right.
But we're talking about storage of chemicals somewhere in a safe, secure place. But as Steve said, if we're going to propose this, engineers would have to come up with the plans and the pros and the cons. And I think you're going to the place of that's going to cost money to look at that.
I just want to let you guys know that less than 100 feet away from that pump station is Swan Lake. All right, and it's a very, very sensitive area there. So,
People live right there. I guess that's the point too. Besides the cost of re-engineering, people live there.
Yeah.
All right. Your points are well taken. I think I think that odor control could be a problem that would have to be addressed with further monies after the thing is built and people say, gee, I'm getting a bad odor from the wet well. That's the only reason why I'm proposing it is because, and as well as saving money for the distance that we'd have to put a chemical line from where the proposed part is to where it's going, which is I guess in the force main now. Regardless of what I do, a pump station's going there with a wet well. That's already designed and decided. So you're talking about perhaps adding 64 square feet to a building that's going to be built, or having a whole nother complex somewhere else. I don't know. I mean, but the location of the pump station itself and the wet well aren't changing. So it would just be a matter of if you wanted to consolidate things and control odors. Like you said, people live there.
Well, this is Randy. You're more likely to have odor problems emanating from the wet well than you are anywhere else in the system.
Of course.
So that's at least worth consideration by everybody on the WPCA.
Who put the Biax station in Old Shores on Gordon Avenue?
Fuss and O'Neill did.
Fuss and O'Neill did. Okay. Now, it's my understanding Fuss and O'Neill isn't going to do anything because they haven't been paid.
I don't know that.
Yes.
They
Those-
they have been paid and they have done things. If you want to do more things or go back and do another study or something else, you need to pay them more. So you are right, Dennis, that they, you know, Woodard and Kern has been very good to us, as you saw from the invoices. They've done a lot of work and haven't got paid. Fuss and O'Neill, you pay as you go. If you don't pay, you don't go.
All right, so I'm gonna move on to correspondence, since I believe that's pretty much the end of our miscellaneous B or sewer. If anyone else has anything else to say on that, I'd be more than happy to entertain. Okay, moving on to correspondence. The pump out letters or mailer certainly is paying off. I got three invoices saying that they pumped, they showed that they have pumped. We'll get Carmody updated. I believe, two more came in the mail, in email also that were already picked up. Like I said, I have corresponded with Carlos Esquera about, the bioxide, and I've, spoken to, Will, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his last name, at Point of Woods, chairman of the WPCA, and Ben, the East Line engineer, about using trench space that's already been dug up on 156. And that is all the correspondence. Next on the list is public comment. Or you comment, I'd just like to remind you to unmute yourself. I have to apologize for any people that tried to call in and we lost them between the two meetings. Well, I guess we'll hear from you next time. It wasn't intentional. So is there any public comment? I see only one person that's calling user one. And we haven't heard from them. They're muted. I don't think I can unmute. I can't unmute, so. Calling user, anyone on a phone that wants to speak, unmute yourself. All right, not hearing anyone. I'd like a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. Sorry for the confusion up front. Meeting is.
Thank you.
Thank you.